Hello everybody, and welcome to today's Sunday Q&A. This week we did the video on what's the best van to buy, and it got a lot of comments. It's understandable that it is going to get a lot of comments. Before we go into it, this week's question of the week is from Wazali, and he says, how much can you expect to earn with your own truck in net monthly with hiring a driver and driving it yourself on the HX? I might try and answer that one. To be honest with you, I don't think I'm the best person to ask on the grounds that it kind of didn't go according to plan for me. But maybe if the wise guys want to stick something out there, and I might take your opinions, and maybe that way I can give the guy an answer. But we'll see. But yeah, so but just writing down my timestamps because there's been a lot on the van. So this one is best van. Now, what I'm going to do, you know, like I do with the videos, you get the little timestamp dots underneath. They're kind of tried my best to put it into categories. So if you don't want to go through the whole thing, because it might take a little while, you can go, no, I just want to know about Renaults. No, I just want to know about Toyotas. No, I just want to know about, and I'll do a little thing at the bottom, and you can zoom along to where you want. The thing is, a lot of the comments cross over. So you get a comment about that's mainly about sprinters. That, oh, and by the way, I think it's about transit. So you might have to watch the whole thing. I didn't do it that way. That's the way it comes about. So we're on best van. This video was for Shiddy. He said, thanks, Pete, for your reply. So sprinters are best. Now, you've got to bear in mind that, in my opinion, I still think sprinters are best, but it is only my opinion, and my opinion, as I've said before, is largely wrong, or at least massively erroneous, which is why we do this, so you guys can comment, and hopefully whoever wants the van can read between the lines. Because Shitty also goes on and says, hi Pete, most Lutons come already with converted on both sides. If I buy one, how am I supposed to strap the pallets to ratchet straps? With ratchet straps? No, they don't. If you buy a new one, you can ask for whatever you want. Most Lutons you tend to get second hand tend to be box Lutons, and they tend to be ex-hire vans. Sort of people use for like removals and stuff like that. You can get them converted yourself, and you can have rings put on the bottom, and that's how if you had a double curtain side, you'd strap on the rings, or you'd strap underneath the bed. We might have to do a video on that. But yeah, we come to that one. So, and finally, as Howard Tennant says, your personal experience might be vast. It's not vast. It's not vast, and it's largely wrong. But it is of no value to anyone else unless it comes with data. Exactly. So, this is what you had to say about your vans, and it's wide ranging. So we'll start with Renault, which bizarrely actually gets quite a good review. Dale Steele said reliability between Sprinter and Renault Master. See how many on very high miles. See how many, it means there's a lot on high miles. I've only had Sprinters and never had any issues. Stay away from big French vans apart from Renault. Sharon Molina says, I drive a Renault Master all the time. The company I work for has 4 ranging from 2015 to 2018. 3 of them have low loader box bodies on them. The 2017 mainly has 430,000 miles on it. That's a lot of miles for a van. They tend to go wrong around, the Sprinters tend to go wrong around 300,000. Don't get me wrong, that might have had new engine, new gearbox, new what have you. It wasn't without trouble, but it was very reliable for the most. It had injectors done, new turbo, recon gearbox. That's to be expected. It's going to wear out. I find one driver to a van is the best option, as the van gets looked after more. This is true. You look after your own motors, and also, motors don't seem to like being driven differently. Regular services and checks are a must. These vans run full weight, if not a little bit over, and run 5 to 6 days a week. Some day on the road, up to 14 hours, doing 4 to 5 miles. 14 hours and doing, this is 4 to 5 miles. Don't work that one out. In my opinion, I'd give the Master 8 out of 10. My boss's brother has the newest Transits, and oh my God, what a pile of rubbish they are. Not like the old 2008 models. They're always broken down and always being recovered. Sharon, thanks very much for your opinion. But there, the Crack says, wouldn't part with my 2002 Renault Master van. I've had it for 15 years on the button, starts on the button, the same time, same engine, same gearbox. I think it's all down to how you look after them, or am I just lucky? bit of both, I'd say, on that score. Faz Finisher says, Renault Master takes some beating when it comes down to reliability. Right, so that's on the Renault. So the Renault actually gets a very good write-up. You know, I kind of thought, and in fairness, we've got two on our firm. I've got a Sprinter and a Renault. I said, which one should I take home? To drive the Renault, it's a nicer drive. And it is. The gearbox on the Sprinter is very clunky. But it's a bit older and it probably needs servicing and stuff like that. But the Renault drives nicely. I haven't driven it with weight on. I'm still doing the lorries, but at some stage I may be in the van. So anyway, Mercs, VWs and Transits. Patrick Bonner said, Mercs and VWs are quietest on the motorway. Domain name guy says, basically Merc or VW, everyone has their preference of brand. The two are basically the same as the MAN brand, which is like, it's kind of like Sprinters, will do 300,000 miles fairly easily if serviced and maintained on the dot, as will Crafters. Ford Transits are okay, Vauxhalls are okay, Ivecos are okay, are ideal for Chris and Lou roll, because if there's lots of space for light pallets and not so great in the wind. I was going to come back to on that. Yeah, there is a difference, I think, between the new Mercs and the new VWs, because they used to be kind of very similar, but I think now the Mercs have a cam chain and the VWs have a cam belt, and I think the Merc under the bonnet is better, but that's only what I think. I'm basing that on something I might have heard, and like I say, it's probably wrong, and if it is wrong, it'll get corrected in the either in last week's mistakes or the Wise Guys next week. Days of Dark UK says, got a beaut of a 2012 short wheelbase Transit, drives like a dream, bought with 12,000 miles on the clock. He's got a nice new van. Please, let's hope it stays that way. Dan Peters, smiley face Transit. Open your lies, Sprinter or Transit. Can't rely on anything else. Mike 5 says, Sprinter best, Ford Connect good for small deliveries. Cab Over Mike says, I just hired a long wheelbase, high top, new 3.5 tonne Transit, DAB radio, 5-speed. That's something else. The Renault has got DAB radio. The Sprinters don't. It's like, when are you going to wake up here? Maybe the new ones. I'm sure the new ones do. Lovely drive and fast at low RPM. Comfy, but the driver's legroom is a little restricted. I think that's the main reason I like the Merc. You've got more room inside it, whereas all the others, particularly the Transits, you don't get a lot of legroom. Brilliant mirrors, average headlights, nice ride, good load area with average load secure points. Would I buy one? Yes, but slightly higher spec and options. Also, I've hired VW transporters before. 5-speed, 6-speed, all kinds of non-wheelbases and all that kind of stuff. But they were both quick and economical, fast and comfy. 6-speed disappointing over 5-speed. Not much difference between the RPMs. Bigger engines, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, so Mike is happy with his Transit. Terry Atkinson says, I worked for a company that only had Transits until the late 90s. And as long as they had diesel in them, nothing would stop them. They changed all to Sprinters, and all the problems started to appear. They've got dash like Christmas trees, rust in all the same places on the Sprinters, rock boxes. So Terry Atkinson, happy with the Transit, not so pleased on the Sprinter. Twist of the Wrist says, I drive a 71 plate VW Crafter with 65,000 miles. It has been back to VW 3 times already, and I booked it in again. First time it only had 5,000 miles on the clock. Didn't get a great one. So that was Sprinters, Transits and VWs, according to you guys. And we're now on Iveco, Hiace and Toyota. Now, CWK says, what are your thoughts on Iveco Daily? I currently have a Sprinter. I like it overall, but the ECU went on it and I had to wait 3 months. As for a new one on back, I've got a new one on back order. It's very expensive. My mate Donnie used to drive Iveco Daily, and it had more lights on the Christmas tree than on the dashboard of the Christmas tree. Kept going. It's a decent enough motor. To me, they were just like beefed up Transits. Mark Wright says, Iveco Daily, end of conversation. There's more than 500,000 dailies on the road than any other van. Didn't know that. I guess that must be in foreign parts because you don't tend to see them around here. Hiace is Nigel Morris says Hiace is the best van by far. Carl Anderson says Pre-DPF, Toyota Hiace, my mate had one with 208,000 and 3 years, did nothing mechanical to it, no service or nothing, it wouldn't die. In the end, he got rid of it for the rust apparently, but it's still on the road to this day. He sold it 2 years ago, but if he was to get another van after this one, a Mark 8 Transit, he says, a piece of rubbish, I'd go for early 2000s Mercedes Sprinter. That's Carl Anderson. Robert Paul Knight says, we have 10 Peugeot Citroën vans with 2.2 Echo Blue engines, all ranging from 2020 to 2023-24. All of them have lost compression on the cylinder and one has an AdBlue fault. In my opinion, they're possibly the worst van on the market, but we have one Ford Transit and it's been fantastic. Just shows, spend a little bit more and you get a van that doesn't cause you any problems. And Chief Rock says, so he's got a breakdown here. So pre-2001 Transit diesel and pre-2097 had pumps that didn't go wrong. Any pre-D4D Hilux or Toyota with it's a 2 litre, I assume. So say pre-2002. Any Astra-van Isuzu diesel with reliable Mark III turbo engine, 1.7. Any pre-VW diesel. There you go. So there you go. You're gonna have to pick through it. This is kind of this is just what I mean. I just read out what you guys send in, and hopefully, if you're out there and you're thinking of a van, you can read between the lines. So, in conclusion, 36. G Hunt says anything from Euro 6 seems to have problems. Humorless says I find it strange that a few posts in here know nothing about the emissions regulations, CAN bus and ever-increasing amount of electronics. No modern van loaded with emissions rubbish is reliable. It all is very silly to suggest otherwise. Transits are pretty appalling, maybe even worse than the French. He doesn't mean the French, he means the French vans. Is that French vans including Renault or French vans not including Renault? I don't know if they're in. Well, obviously Renault is a French van. It's just whether it fits in the French van category, the not reliable category. Who knows? Bounty Hunter 84. He says, I had multiple vans in 16 years as a courier. Big vans. The first model was 2008 long wheelbase Sprinter, loved it, great van, fast, could carry the load. It was a new model with a brand new redesign and had problems with it after 2 years, turbos kept blowing. Like I said, new engine, etc., teething problems. Then I switched to the Volkswagen Crafter, it wouldn't pull the load out of bed, a very comfortable van but low on power. Took time out of the game again. Came back in 2018, Sprinter long wheelbase, great van, got a great price. Traded it in for a Nissan 400, which was another great van, but not on the same level as the Merc. Currently, I have extra long wheelbase Sprinter with auto transmission, best van I've ever owned. For me, Merc all the way, but the parts are expensive, not cheap to run, but comfort and reliability, handling is 10 out of 10. Thank you, Bounty Hunter. Brendak says, should have put that in Sprinter category, actually, but you know, like I say, there's a lot in there. It's not because I said just try and get the best and the newest van you can. It's just not true. He said about newer the better. You can have new vans that have been badly maintained, not doing oil changes on time, keeping it for 2 to 3 years and moving on to the next one. He said I'd rather get an older van with 150,000 K on it and a full service history. Now that comes back to the Jigsaw van. And I did a video on the Jigsaw van, which was when the guy asked me what's the most reliable van I own, and I said, well, it's one that I actually changed all the parts in as soon as I got it. I usually buy Citroën or Peugeot. They are hugely underrated. If I can't find one with a good service history, I buy a brand new, mainly brand new Citroën Peugeot van, put quality oil and filters into them, change the oil every 7,000 miles. It's about 100 quid when you do it yourself. So I'm driving a Citroën Relay 2016 with 427,000 kilometres on it. It's on it from new, and I'll sell it after 800,000 clicks to people who turn them into food service trucks, camper van conversions where they don't do much miles. So again, there's a man there who likes Citroën and Peugeot. B. Carroll. We're getting near the end, guys. He said, I've got a few shaped Transits and one Sprinter, owned from new. They're all approaching 100,000 miles. Prefer to drive Fords. They are much quieter and nicer interior. As for reliability, it's a lottery. And that's kind of the crux of it. It says we have had no issues with ours, but seen problems with both brands. And that's the long and short of it is. Which is the most reliable van to buy? There isn't one. You can buy a brand new Sprinter, fresh off the production line, it can be rubbish. You can buy an old Citroen that's done 300,000 miles, and you could drive it for 100,000 miles and not even spend a penny on it. It really is luck of the draw. It literally is. So in my opinion, I'd say you look out and you get the best, cheapest, what appears to be the best, cheapest, most maintained van that suits you. And if it doesn't work out, sell it. You're not married to the van. You know, you can, it's just like, it's a van. If it doesn't work out, go, that one's no good, we'll move on to the next one. Keep going until you get it right. And finally, Pete Martineau says, which current van out there can take the most payload? I don't know. So that is a question for the wise guys, which naturally leads me on, it's not just thrown together this, you know, which naturally leads me on to this week's wise guys. Nick the Urban Trucker, he says, Pete, do you know what the numbers represent on Mercedes commercial vehicles? No, I don't. I know nothing. He said the first number is the chassis spec, tonnage. The second two numbers are the vehicle's horsepower. Merc's below 10 tonne will only have 3 numbers, and over 10 tonne will have 4 numbers. On larger commercials, 18 tonne and over, the first two numbers also represent the axle configuration. 18, 19, 2 axle, 20s, 3 axle, 30s, 4 axle. So the truck you're currently driving, a 2532, which roughly equates to a 3 axle with 320 horsepower. Yeah, I'm not driving it as a mix. I've got it back now. I'm back in Eloise. I'm doing a night shift on Monday. I've got to take it in the Battersea. I've got to meet the fitters at 10:30 at night and wait while we unpack the stuff. I might do a video on it, but it might be a bit dark. I don't mean dark as in sort of mean and moody. I just mean dark, you know, as in not light, because it's night time. You probably knew that. Shane Hardy says, regarding the electric charging van, yeah, there's a few on this. The AA have generators in the back of EVs. In the back to get EVs charged to get you through to a proper driving point. The RAC, and Steve Campbell says, the RAC diesel vans with a generator go to recharge electric cars. You know, the thing about being in the AA, if you drive an electric vehicle, you can still be in the AA, unless you drive a really small electric vehicle, in which case you have to be in the AAA. Nick also says, Nick the Urban Tracker says, hi Pete, on the subject of electric vehicle breakdowns, this is more to this. It says, to follow on from what's been said already, the AA is trialling a system that the van's engine is used like a generator with an inverter type charging system. The other breakdown companies are using conventional generator to charge up the stricken vehicle. Either way, it takes 40 minutes to give you a 10-mile range charge, just enough to get you to the nearest charging point. You hope. What if it breaks down in Cornwall or Devon or in Northumbria? This type of breakdown service is only available in major towns and cities at the moment. He knew that, obviously, because he went on to say this. If I'd read this stuff ahead of time, I wouldn't fall into these problems, wouldn't I? At the moment, otherwise you'd have to wait for a conventional recovery truck. The other problem people are finding with EVs at the moment is insurance. The premiums have skyrocketed for EVs. Insurance companies are now discovering how much they cost to be recovered from accidents and high repair costs. Because there is a problem with the EV that if you get stuck in it, if there's an accident, it could be like, you could be in a fatal accident, and you could be in the front sort of, for want of a better phrase, slowly bleeding to death. The fire brigade can't cut you out. They can't go straight in with the angle grinder because the apparently what happens is, again, this is probably wrong, everything I say is wrong. Because apparently, there's electrics running all the way through the car, and one fireman went to cut it out and didn't put 40,000 volts for him, killed him. So it's been like, well, sorry, mate. But, do what you can. That's probably, wise guys, tell me if I'm right or wrong on that one, please. And also, they have a tendency to explode. The Luton Airport doesn't have a car park anymore, and apparently it was because an electric Range Rover blew up. And it wasn't an electric Range Rover, it was just a normal Range Rover blew up. Because that offence happens all the time. The amount of times where I'm driving down a motorway and a Range Rover goes past me and goes, bang! What was that? Oh, that was a Range Rover. I mean, don't get me wrong, it might not have been, like I say, everything I say is rubbish. But, Do you? Hello, sir. Welcome to our car showroom. Would you like a normal car, or would you like one that spontaneously combusts? I think I'll go for the normal car. Steve Campbell, following on the wise guy, says, "Oh yeah, because it's about using libraries. If you've got to print off like your airport, your air bill or something like that, you always go." He said you can always go to a library. I said, "Yeah, but what if you're in a lorry? You can't park in the library." He said, "Libraries usually have loading bays nearby. How would you get the stock delivered?" Yeah, exactly. You've got to get the books there, won't you? I park in their loading bay. I'm currently parked in the loading bay of an old Wilco store, blending in. Yeah, true. That's, see one, grab it. So, right, now we're on to trucks. And Nick the Urban Trucker, as usual, he says, thanks again for all your contributions. He says, "Hi Pete, on the subject of the lane departure systems, on the lane departure warning systems, the GSR, General Safety Regulations, are changing. On the 7th of July this year, the driver will no longer be able to switch off the lane departure system on new trucks sold after this date, along with them being sold with tyre pressure monitoring systems and alcohol interlocks, breathalyzers." Well, that is ridiculous, because the lane departure system doesn't work. It's just irritating. It beeps. If it sees a line that it thinks is a line, it beeps. It's like it slams the brakes on. If a car turns left, I've had the truck slam the brakes on twice. Oh, thanks for letting me know there's a car over there. But it's what it is. Breathalyzers. He says, "Of course, some whiz kid with a laptop will work out some ways of getting around these systems." And that was something else I meant to say. When we were saying about the Euro 6 thing, and it strikes me that there might be a case that because you just started adding the AdBlue and the catalytic converter and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't help the engine. That might sort of shorten the life of the truck. I know I had to fit a catalytic converter in my truck when I was in my 30s, but that was a 75 V15 Iveco, 7.5 ton. Cost me about £1,000 or so to put it on, and it just killed it. I've said if I ever had a band, I would. My first album would be called "A Cat Killed My Shirley," because a catalytic converter basically destroyed my truck, who was called Shirley, after Billy Bragg. With greetings from the brunette, Shirley, which was on when I bought it. And also my mate Ellis had a girlfriend called Shirley who was quite big, and she was quite big. You don't need to know that. But there is a way that you can change turn the AdBlue off and the emissions thing off. And that way it won't be affecting the engine, and you won't be using AdBlue, and in the whole it would probably save you money on the running costs, and it would save you money on the, and also when it goes in for test, they don't even know. Apparently. Of course I know nothing about these things, it's just a rumour mill. I'm sure someone out there might know how it works. They might even put it in the comments, but I know nothing, as I say. So that's it. That's today's Q&A. Got it done in time. Well, hey! Gosh, weekend's ahead of us. So it's getting a little bit lighter in the mornings. Gets a little bit easier to get out of bed. It will get a bit warmer, and it will make it easier to take care and take money.